First lesson, the first lesson. Congregation, please turn to page 1.
Ashrei?
Ashrei. All right. Ezra's Kel Elyon Asher Shemayim Va'oretz Kona, with the help of Hashem, who created and acquired heaven and earth. It's a poet, it's a poem, so it rhymes. He gave us the Torah from the desert as a present. We will begin to print wonderful and incredible teachings on the words of Rabbi Baba Chana in the Gemara. With this merit, may we go up to Tzion, ascend to Tzion with joy. El Kiryas Melech David Chana, to the place where King David rested. All right, Rabbi Baba Chana, just to understand the Gemara in Bava Basra, starting Daf Ayin Hey. Starting Daf Ayin Hey, tells there 15 incredible stories of Rabbi Baba Chana that, in a way, you could say they are not to be believed. They're like things that Rabbi Baba Chana saw that no one could really believe it. The Gemara goes on to tell a few other stories like that from Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Yeshua, from Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yonason, different Gemaras. One of the interesting things there in the Gemara is talks about Rabbi Yochanan was teaching about the future. In Yerushalayim, the Malachim will build gates, entryways made of incredible stone, incredible precious stones. You're going to have them. The student laughed at him. He laughed. He said, where are you going to get these stones? Where do you see stones that are 10 amos high, 10 feet, 50? Where do you see precious stones like that? He laughed at him. Rabbi Yochanan didn't say anything. A little time later, the student was traveling on a ship, and the ship sunk. And he descended into the sea. And he saw the angels cutting out these stones, carving them out for the future. And he came back to Rabbi Yochanan, and he told him, you said right, there is such a thing. Rabbi Yochanan got angry, and the student passed away. The Marsha, I believe it is, says over there, why would this happen? Why? I mean, the guy admitted, right? Why would it happen? He says, listen, you have a problem with faith. You have a problem with emunah. You can't believe it because it sounds so out of the world. Okay, I can't blame you. Can't blame you. You make fun of me. I'm talking about things that are beyond description. And I remember as a kid, you remember there was a guy, Flash Gordon?
Yeah.
You remember Flash Gordon? Right? He was talking about spaceships, right? And Dick Tracy with a watch that you can communicate, right? They laughed at him, but it happened, right? So the point is that if something sounds incredible, okay, you don't believe, I can't blame you. But when you come back to me and say, now you believe because you saw it, that I can't accept, right? That's why the Talmud died, right? You have to learn to accept or don't accept, and you saw it, okay, Baruch Hashem showed you that such things could be. But now you're exclaiming really good, so that doesn't work. Anyway, Rabbi...
Must don't accept, must accept. When a Chachamim tell you something.
You must accept, but not everybody can. Go out into the street, go into Dizengoff now, and tell the people that Mashiach is coming. Are they going to listen to you?
You'll laugh at you.
Okay. That's what happened with Yochanan. Right? That's the same thing. So the idea is everything has to have emunah. So Rabbi Baba Chana told 15 stories. So the Rebbe, in Chaim Moharan, it says that the Rebbe said that before he revealed these teachings, Rabbi Baba Chana came to him and said to him, why don't you teach about my sayings? Right? And he says, if you do, I will show you wondrous things from my teachings. Then the Rebbe began to reveal these lessons on Rabbi Baba Chana. Right? So we have things that go back to Chazal, right, and everything like that. And in the words that are here, Rabbi Nachman explains clearly that the Marsha, in the beginning of that Inyan in Bava Basra, says that you can't contradict the things that Rabbi Baba Chana is saying. It's the first 15 lessons of Likutey Moharan.
Even the turtle that turned over, even the land, everything is true. The way the people
you cannot deny it. However, the Gemara only includes it because there's something to learn from it. That's what the Marsha says. So because that there is something to learn in all the Agadatas. They call them the Agodot Hapliot, the wondrous parts of the Agoda, like last week, Chukas, right? Oig picked up a mountain that was 3 miles wide, 3 parsecs wide, and held it over the whole encampment of Ever. How could you imagine something like that? A guy, he's a giant, say that, to rip up a mountain 3 miles wide, carry it on your head. Right? How can you believe something like that? But it happened. Right? So you have to have emunah. The first thing is to have emunah that every word of the Torah HaKadosha is emes. Okay, this lesson was revealed in Medvedevka. The Rebbe lived there before he moved to Zlatopole and then Breslov. So it was around 1798, 1800, around 1800, when the Rebbe gave this lesson. And it was a rough period for Klal Yisrael because the Haskalah, the Enlightenment, were raising up their flag, trying to force the Jews. They says, you got to better our plot. You know, it's poverty and there's persecution. The way we can live is if we incorporate or we integrate with the Goyim. That was what the Maskilim were trying to do, which you take a look at America today and you see that's what happened. The Rebbe says here in this lesson, no. The reason the Jews are persecuted is because we're not involved deeply in Torah and Tefillah. It's our loss, our fault, that we have to learn more and to daven better and have our tefillahs accepted, and then that's one of the reasons it is Torah. Another, the Torah was revealed because one of his students came to him. He said, I don't feel my tefillahs are being accepted. So the Rebbe told him, learn. After davening, you should sit and learn Gemara, Mishnayos, whatever it is that you can, learn something after davening. So he did that for a while and he came back. I still don't feel my tefillah is being accepted. So the Rebbe told him, look, a Yid has nothing else to do in life but davening, learning, davening. Jew has only to daven, to learn, and to daven. That's what the Rebbe said. It's in Sichos Haran, just those words. But the story behind it is that the Rebbe was telling the student, if you daven and learn and daven, then your tefillahs will be accepted. And he tells, and now the lesson will explain to us why. Okay? So let's start. Ashrei Smimei Derech Ha'holchim B'Torahs Hashem. Fortunate are those who are simple in their approach to davening and to serving Hashem, going in the Torah of Hashem. Da, no. Ki ayidei Torah niskablim kol atfilos v'chol habakoshes she'onu mevakshim u'mispalalim. By learning Torah, all the tfilos to Hashem, v'chol habakoshes, even those to the governments, she'onu mevakshim u'mispalalim, that we request and we daven, are accepted. And the grace and the importance of the Jewish nation is elevated before anyone who was necessary. Not just spiritually will our tefillos be accepted, but even in Gashmias. If we really have the Torah HaKdosha behind us, later on, the next column, the Rebbe explains the koyach of Torah. But in the meantime, if you have that koyach of Torah, then anything that you want will come to fruition. Now, through our many sins, the grace and beauty and importance of the Jews is downtrodden. Because now the importance looks like it's by the Goyim. But when we engage in Torah study, the grace and the beauty of Klal Yisrael goes up. Why? The Gemara says, Ki HaTorah nikras ayeles ahovim v'yahalas chaim. It's a graceful doe, a beloved doe, and again an antelope, so on, of chaim, of grace. Why is it called Ya'alas chaim? Shema ala chaim alim deha, because it elevates chaim, grace, on those who study it. Right? I know a guy in Montreal who became a Breslov, and he learned his Torah, and he just had a daughter right after that. So he called his daughter Ya'alat Chen. Right? But the emphasis, the Rebbe is telling us here, what the Maskilim were trying to do was to disassociate us from Torah, engage in Goyish practices. And the Rebbe is telling us, no, it doesn't work. You want to be accepted, you want the Jews, the government here, they try and accept by the United Nations, I don't know why, right? Since 1948, they're destroying the Jews, and they keep on trying to be part of the nations. Why? How? I can't figure it out.
You said Nitkabim Kol HaTfilot v'Kol HaBakashot, and you mentioned government. You mean that, like when we ask for the government or whatnot?
Right. You have many instances in New York, New Jersey, where the Aguda has been very successful in appealing certain laws, certain conditions to the Goyish governments, and they've been accepted. Right? There are times not. There are times that it has been done. But you have to understand, New York, New Jersey is the center of Torah learning in America. And the people there are quite powerful. And because they have Koyach HaTorah, they were able to present their case before the government. The Aguda has been successful with that. They had a guy, all over Sholem now, Rav Moshe Shera, who was the head of the Aguda in America. The man was incredible. The things that he did with government, that is in order to be able to bring in the Koyach HaTorah. He fought for Yiddishkeit. I remember as a kid, there were problems with Esrogim. With? Esrogim, Etrog, right? There were problems with Esrogim because the agricultural department didn't want taking fruits from a different country. All right? He fought like a tiger. And I remember this as a kid in the 1960s. Right? He fought like he got okays to bring in, Department of Agriculture agreed. But Koyach HaTorah, he fought with the Koyach HaTorah, not with the Koyach of the Goyish laws and whatnot. And that's what the Rebbe is telling us here. You need the Koyach HaTorah to establish. Today there's many gzeros, right? There's many gzeros against Am Yisrael, especially here. You take a look. The Gemara in Psochim says that the hatred of an Am Ha'aretz to a Talmud Chacham is greater than the hatred of a goy to a Jew. Wow. It's a Gemara, Psochim, right? You take a look at the Israeli Supreme Court, right? They may be nice people, I doubt it, but they may be nice people. But any claim that an Arab makes before the Supreme Court is accepted. Any claim that Yiddishkeit makes before the Supreme Court is rejected, right? Because they hate Yiddishkeit. They hate them. The main thing is the Koyach HaTorah. That's what the Maskilim did, and that's what the Koyach HaTorah is, that we could, if we were really to learn Torah. So you can ask the question, there hasn't been a generation like this where so much Torah is being learned as we have today. Many thousands upon thousands. When the state was founded, Ben Gurion met with the Chazon Ish, and the Chazon Ish pleaded to exempt the yeshiva boys from the army. All right? There were 1,000, 1,500 yeshiva boys. What did he care? Okay, he agreed. Today there's many thousands, 50,000, 100,000. I don't know how many guys are learning. Now they're against it. But what happened in the time of the Cantonist decrees? In the Cantonist decrees, one of the things was to draft Jewish boys.
Cantonist decrees?
Canton, the Tsar in the 1800s, the early 1800s. One of the decrees was that, what was I going to say?
Was to draft Jewish boys.
Draft Jewish boys, right? So the Maskilim worked it out that anyone who went to a school of the Maskilim was exempt from the army. The Maskilim did it. They brought exemptions for their students from the Russian army, that only the yeshiva guys should be drafted. And now they're trying to draft again. It's amazing, right? Everything comes full cycle. But the Rishus eventually comes out. Okay? So the main thing the Rebbe is saying here, you want to find grace, you want to find importance. I mean, they ridicule us now, right? We're ridiculed throughout the world. And why? Why? Because the Koyach HaTorah is not up to par. It's not up to par. Somehow it's become a routine in Am Yisrael. They talk about a shidduch crisis, right? Shidduch crisis. Girls are not getting married, the boys, they're not taking them. The boy, he wants to sit and learn, right? He wants to sit and learn. He holds his prospective father-in-law hostage. I need a few years support, right? That's the way it works today. A guy, a yeshiva guy, you want to marry me? You want your daughter to marry me? I got to have support for 3 years, 5 years. Some guys demand a house, some guys demand a car. It's amazing, right? Right? They're sitting and learning. You ever hear of a guy in the Gemara? He's pretty famous. His name is Rabbi Akiva. Did you ever hear of Rabbi Akiva? Yeah. Right? I got to tell you that Rabbi Akiva became Rabbi Akiva because his father-in-law threw him out of the house. Right? Correct? Yeah. That's how he became Rabbi Akiva. He had no support. He lived on straw, right? He had nothing. He had nothing. And he wasn't the top boy in the yeshiva. He was Am Haaretz. He said so, right? But he made a shidduch. His daughter is a bigger chiddush, right? Because his daughter grew up in the lap of luxury. Kalba Savur would be considered Elon Musk of today. You know, the guy with all the money. He was incredibly wealthy. She grew up in the lap of luxury, and she picked this guy, this shepherd kid, Am Haaretz. Why? She must have seen in him tremendous midos. That's the only thing I can think of. That the midos would count. Not that he was a top bocher, none of that. And he couldn't demand from his shver because his shver threw him out of the house.
His midas back then were that he wanted to buy it, buy the Talmidei Chachamim.
He had a finesse within him.
Very good.
So anyway, but that's how he became Rebbe Akiva. Not because the shver supported him for a few years with Alexis and all that. Okay, so that's the thing. The main thing is the koyach haTorah, the effort you put in, and that's the Rebbe says in the next column, right? It's the effort that you put into the Torah that gives the koyach. It's the effort that we have, and now the Rebbe begins to explain. There's a cloud, by the way, in Likutey Moharan, that the opening paragraph contains the entire lesson, and it's only revealed through the rest of the lesson. But this first paragraph, you need Torah, you need Tefillah, and you'll get to the point where you respect it. Okay? Now, Ki ish ha-Yisraeli tzorech toma liyistakal b'haseichel shel kol dover. A Jewish person has to look into the intellect in every single item. Ulekasher atzmo el chochma v'haseichel sheyesh b'chol dover. And to attach yourself to that inner chochma that's found in every item. Why? Kedei sheyoel lo yaseichel sheyesh b'chol dover, that the intellect should illumine his whole path in everything. In order to draw himself close to Hashem through that item. The intellect is a great light. And it illumines all his pathways. Moshe Kosov, Chochmas Odom To'ir Ponov. The wisdom of a person will illumine his face. So that wisdom brings illumination. V'zeh b'chinas Yaakov. And this is the category or the concept of what Yaakov is. The Rebbe speaks here and later in the Torah, Yaakov and Esav. Ki is Yaakov zochel l'bchora. Yaakov merited to the birthright. Shu Rashis, which is first. Shu B'chinas Chochma, which is called Chochma. K'moshe Kosov, Rashis, Chochma. The first thing is Chochma. V'zeh B'chinas Vayakveni Zeh Pa'amayim. He outsmarted me twice. That's what Esav said. V'tagim Unkelus V'chakmeni. Vayakveni, Yaakov, the Targum of that is Chochma. So that Yaakov represents Chochma. Zeh b'chinas shemesh. And this is the concept of the sun. Ki ha-seichel u'mei eloi b'chol darav k'mei ha-shemesh. The seichel, person's intellect, is supposed to illuminate his path in life, just like the sun illuminates the path during the day. Zeh b'chinas v'yoyach tzadikim ki or noiga. The light of the path of tzadikim is like a bright, shining light. It goes and illumines for the day. This is the letter Ches. Why? Ches is Loshen Chias, life, a life force. Because Chochma is the life force of everything. Chochma techaya es be'oleha. Wisdom will bring life to its owner. Right? There was Medrash tells a story of a guy who went on a boat and he had nothing with him. Right? And everyone else had parcels and packages, suitcases, who knows what. And then a storm wind came, and the captain ordered everyone to throw all the possessions overboard, which they did. Right? They walked off to shore later on, and everyone is bemoaning that I lost everything. This guy walks off like nothing happened. Why? Because he was a wise man who had plenty of chokhmah, and he was able to walk off with everything he possessed. Chokhmah techaya es be'aleha. That's the medrash on that pasuk in Koheles. Thing is like this. Go back to the beginning of this paragraph, that the Jewish person has to always look at the seichel of everything. There are 10 spheres: Keser, Chokhmah, Bina, Chesed, Gvura, etc. Keser is ineffable. It's beyond. It's like a crown on a head. It's not really part of us. It's beyond us, right? What was the first revelation of the spheres? Chokhmah, right? That's why it says Bereshis, in the beginning. Reshis is what the Rebbe says here, Reshis Chokhmah. Chokhmah was the first of all the spheres to be revealed in the world, right? Keser is not revealed. Chokhmah is revealed. There is Chokhmah in the world, right? So now the idea is, the pasuk says in Tillim, Kulam b'chokhmah osiso. Hashem, you made everything with chokhmah, so that in every single item in this world, whether it's a human being, which is a pile ploys, is a human body, is an absolute wonder how it works and how it does what it does. It takes food, it ingests it, and it separates it, it keeps the good, it throws out the bad, right? And the human being could operate, it can see, it can hear, I mean, it could talk, all the things. But even the animal life, right? Every animal has a different chokhmah to it, right? You can learn more in Eruvin. I think Daf Kuf says there, if we didn't have the Torah, Rabbi Yochanan says, if we didn't have the Torah, we would learn wisdom from the animals. You know, how a cat cleans itself all the time. Did you ever see? Cat is always licking itself. I forgot the others. But there are things that the animals do. Everything is b'chokhmah, right? Every leaf, every tree, every branch has a different wisdom. Why it's this way, why it's that way, why this one is fruit bearing, why this one not, right? The earth itself, how in different areas, this soil is good for tomatoes, this soil is good for peaches and whatnot. It's just amazing, the whole Bria. There is wisdom in every single thing, right? The Rebbe says here at the end of the paragraph, this is called Ches, the letter Ches, which means life, the life force. Chokhmah is the life force. To take it further, the Medrash says, it's an old swarm. There are 5 levels to the soul. There's Yechida, which is the highest level from the word Yechid, which is combined with Hashem. It's the actual point where the soul is connected directly with Hashem. Then there's the next level below it is called Chaya, a living essence. Then there's the Neshama, the Ruach, and the Nefesh. Almost all the time we speak about Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, right? The Medrash there says it's in Bereshis. Nefesh, the place of it is the lowest level, it's in the liver. Why? The liver filters the blood, it purifies the blood and whatnot. It's the lowest level, it's the simple life force of a person, but on the lowest material level. That it takes all the schmutz, it gets rid of it, and it cleanses the blood to go through the body and whatnot. The next level above that is the ruach, which is a wind or a spirit, right? The ruach is mishkonoi belev. It's places in the heart, right? Did you ever notice that sometimes you think of something and then afterwards you think of a different thing? Maybe I should do this instead. Maybe that instead. Now, you're like a wind blowing, right? That's your heart. The heart keeps going left and right. You have a Yetzer Tov, a Yetzer Hara. That's the ruach of a person. It goes back and forth. Whereas the Gemara in Bracha says the Yetzer Hara is like a fly. He's on the openings of the heart. He goes from one opening to the next, back and forth, right, just to try and divert a person from what's the really right thing. The neshama is in the moyach, is in the heart, in the mind. Person's neshama is in his mind. It says, "V'nishmas shakai tevinam." The bina, the understanding, is in the neshama, in the name of Hashem. So that the body has nefesh, ruach, neshama. The yechida is the part that's absolutely connected to Hashem. Below yechida is above the person's mind, above the person is something called chaya, a living essence. That's what brings the living essence into the person. That's called, and later on, lesson 21, other lessons, the Rebbe speaks about, it's called the seichel hamakif, the intellect, the surrounding intellect, or the transcendental intellect. There's an immanent, something that's inside the person, that's the mind. And then there's a living essence, which is above it, which is actually the life force of a person. That's the ches. The intellect is the life force of a person. That's the chaya. It's above the person. But it's inside every living thing in this world. Inside. And we have to learn to connect to it. Right? And that's why the Rebbe repeats again and again.
So the neshama and the chaya, what's the difference between them?
The living, it's above it.
Tov is also chachma.
Yeah, but the living essence is transcendental wisdom. I know the answer, but I just can't think of it. It's above me right now. It's transcendental. I have to study, and then I learn, and then it becomes immanent inside me. Right? That's chaya. The life force of a person comes from this level of chaya. Chaya receives from Yechida, directly from Hashem. But that life force is always with us. And why we're always searching. Why is the mind always searching? Because it's looking for that transcendental.
Makif, and the makif you said where?
Makif.
You said makif.
It's a transcendental, yeah. It surrounds, it's like the word hekef,
Like
to surround.
It's connected to chaya?
That's the chaya, yeah.
Chaya is makif.
Yeah, it's the makif.
Makif is something that I bring down.
That you have to bring down into yourself. Right now, when you're a child, you're in grade 1, you're learning 1 plus 1, right? Fractions are above you. It's a transcendental chokhmah at that age, right? You start learning addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, right? And then you go into fractions, then it becomes immanent, right? But then calculus is transcendental, right? Or accounting, the way the IRS does it, is transcendental, right?
So makif is something, the chokhmah that surrounds me but not internalized.
It's not yet in me.
Not yet. Right.
It can be in me. I can get it. But right now it's immanent. That's chayas, that's something. So we know there are many things that are beyond me.
What do we get in Shabbos?
Huh?
What neshama do we get
That's
in
a
Shabbos?
double neshama. That's your mind. Right?
Rav Avram Bar Nachman says, צריך להסתכל בהשכל שבכל דבר, everything that comes upon me, living,
Expenses,
animals,
family, right?
everything. And it seems almost as though there's a kind of code here that needs to be broken. Meaning, it's not just a simple answer that I can receive from what comes upon me. Maybe some things I can see at large, but sometimes there may be something that just hits me, whether it be something that I read, or whether it be a person saying something, etc., etc. Now, I've taken the advice of the Torah of Reb Nachman, where he talks about, not the Torah, but where he talks about one of the students that at first he said, Lechem ra lo tuchal, and then it said, Et ha'ovim tziviti lecha kirecha, and he ate that bread. So
I'll explain that in a minute, yeah.
So it seems as though that there was a message that he received, but there's no sechel in that. Although it works. A lot of times I see that completely true, Chaim. I see that the exact thing as it is, it's exactly like that. But I don't understand. And also a writer talks in Itgarut Elokut that you need to do the opposite, so to speak, of what you hear or what you see. That you need to sort of do the halacha the opposite way, which seems more like the sechel. So my question is it a clear answer, or is it something that I need to lefaneach?
Sometimes it'll be clear, sometimes it'll be something you have to open up. The messages come to you every single day, hour after hour, sometimes minute after minute. Right? You're thinking one thing, all of a sudden you change your mind. Why? What happened? Right? These are all messages from Hashem, from the Yechida, through the Chaya, into your mind. Right? And then your heart starts playing with you. Should I do this? Should I do that? Whatever the case is. Let's go back to the story he told here. Rabbi Nachman Horudenka, Rabbi Nachman's grandfather, was on a ship. This is in Rabbi Nachman's wisdom. He was on a ship, and they ran into trouble, storms, and they didn't have anything to eat for a few days, for a couple of days. And then they got ashore, and they were in an Arab place, and they were all hungry. And he was offered bread, and he washed his hands for the bread. He made the bracha, and then he had a thought that said, Al tilchoi meslechem ra'ayin. Do not eat the bread of someone of an evil eye. Now he had already made the bracha, but he didn't know. He says, maybe I shouldn't eat this bread. It's from an Arab.
It says he made up his mind not to eat the bread after.
Yeah, he was thinking that. But then he thought of a pasuk, V'yesa orvim tzivisi l'kalkolecha. When Eliyahu was fled from Achav, so Hashem told him, I commanded the ravens to feed you. They used to go every day to the kitchen of Achav and bring bread and meat to Eliyahu Hanavi. Right? There are some midrashim that say it was the kitchen of Yehoshaphat. He was the kosher king. Achav was a Russia. But anyway, he used to bring a vessel Orvim. Orvim is Loshan Aravi, an Arab. The ravens. The raven is known to be a very cruel bird, and I commanded them to feed you. So that he ate the bread. Right? He says, and he said, our thoughts are not stam thoughts. A thought that comes to a person is really a message from heaven. So when you get a thought, think about it. And that's what the Rebbe is saying here in the beginning. A Jew has to look in the seichel of everything, to attach himself to that seichel, to be bound to it, so that he knows what's going on, in order for the wisdom that's inherent within that item will give him cause to come close to Hashem. Follow? Now, it doesn't happen suddenly. Lesson 21, where the Rebbe does speak about transcendental chokhmah, about the makifim, he does say there that sometimes a person could get a thought, an immediate thought, something that comes to him out of the clear blue. It's brilliant. You know, like that light bulb that goes on in your mind when you get it, right? And there are times you have to work on it. There are times. But the fact is that a whole day, every single hour, you're getting messages from heaven, how to come close to Hashem. You have to look at what happened in order to be able to come close to Hashem. If your ultimate goal is Hashem, then whatever you're looking at will lead you to Hashem. If your ultimate goal is something you want, then that is what will illumine your path. Right? So it just depends how much effort you're going to devote yourself to finding out the Hashem in the message. It's like a message in a bottle. You know, you find it on the seashore, right? You open it up, it's a message written 300 years ago, whatever the case is. Right? Who knows? Right? Okay? Any questions on this?
But how do I know the message if it's right or not? So this bread.
Oi!
Oh,
Right? Hashem, what do I do? You're connecting, when you say that, you're connecting to Hashem. And then you're going to find the Hashem's message.
because when he remembered the second posuk, maybe it's because Yetzer wants him to eat, you know, like.
Yeah, but when you say oi, right, then you're connecting with Hashem. So then it's probably right. Probably.
What's the oy?
Huh?
I don't know.
It's a prayer to Hashem.
Oy?
Oi. In other words, I don't mean just oi. I mean that you're asking Hashem, what do I do? What am I supposed to learn from this? What am I supposed to do? When I have that level, then I connect with Hashem. I'm bringing Hashem into my life. Now this is the first lesson of Likutey Moharan, and it's really laying the, laying the foundation for the rest of Likutey Moharan. You're going to find Hashem. Hashem is there. Hashem exists. Like Chabad has that song, you know, Hashem is here, Hashem is there, Hashem is always everywhere. He is. But you have to internalize that. It has to be part of you. That as soon as something happens, Hashem, what do you want from me?
So it's from the Likutey Moharan gives that Asa to say oi?
No, he doesn't say that. I'm saying, he is as an interpretation that you got to bring Hashem into the equation. That's what the Rebbe is saying. You have to look at the seichel of everything in order to become attached to Hashem, right? How do you become attached to Hashem? You speak to Him, call out to Him. You don't have to say oi. You could say whatever you want to say, but bring Hashem into the equation.
You can say help.
Huh?
Help.
Oh. You
So-
can say whatever you want to say, but you got to bring Hashem into the equation.
The only way I can be saved from between the messages being the right way of what I want to go, or my own self-interest, is oi. It's to beg Hashem to please that it be you that I'm looking for, and
Always.
not my own crowd.
Reb Nosson says we have, if you daven Sfard or Ashkenaz, right? After Uvolet Zion, they have Kapitel Pevov, Kapitel 86 in Tillim. One of the psukim there is, Hareini Hashem darkecha, Hashem, show me your path, Ahalech ba'amitecha. I should go in your emes, right? Reb Nosson said on that, what's amitecha, on your emes? Because every person has his own concept of what truth is, his own perspective of truth. Every person has, which is why, right? I mean, Rashi says it in Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, right? Shema Yisrael, Hashem, who is Elokeinu now, will be the Elokim of the whole world, of one whole entire world, Echad, right? Rav Nosson asks, you know, his time maybe there were 4 billion people on the planet, 5 billion, I don't know. But he asks, everyone is different, and everyone sees Hashem from a different perspective. Right? Everyone sees Hashem. What do you mean he's one God? What do you mean one? Everyone sees him differently. Right? Every person has their own emes. That's what Reb Nosson says. But there's something called, the Gemara calls it emes la'amitoi, called dayin hadon din emes la'amitoi. Any judge who judges a truthful judgment truthfully. Why the redundancy? The Beis Yosef explains there that in Choshen Mishpah, the first sim in Choshen Mishpah, that amitecha means there's a truth in what everyone is saying. They're telling you what they perceive to be the truth. One guy is lying, otherwise they wouldn't be in Bezdin, right? But even though he's lying, he feels that he's right. So it has to be, you have to look at the truth of everyone and decide which is the real truth. It's the same thing with us. We have to look, emes la'amitoi, halech ba'amitecha, I should go in your truth, Hashem. I haven't spoken this that way. Hashem, give me the truth, but give me your truth. That's what I ask for. It should be what you really want. I say, the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos says, make your will like the will of Hashem. Right? But what is the will of Hashem? He left it open for me. I could choose whatever I want. I can.
And especially that I have inclinations for the wrong things a lot of times.
I could choose, I have free will, right? And I want to go with the truth. And I feel that this is good for me. But is it really? Or could I do differently? Could I do better? Maybe, maybe not. But could I do it differently, which would be a better way of bringing out?
Rabos Makshavos Balavi, Shvatzas Hashem, he's so cool. So sounds like it's going to be Hashem's will either way.
In the end result, it'll always come out the way Hashem wants, right? But sometimes man ruins Hashem's plan by doing wrong, doing averos. So Hashem has to now rework the plan. He has to rework it. But the Rebbe says in Sichas Haran about on that pasuk, a person wants to daven to Hashem, right? And when he starts davening, Rabbis Machshovis Malavish, there are many thoughts that go through a person's mind when he davens. And he says, and it gets very depressing. I want to daven and I can't daven, right? So the Rebbe says, understand, Atzas Hashem Yisokum. Hashem will pick out the parts that you really wanted, that you really meant to be Hashem. Atzah Hashem He took. That's what's going to remain from the davening. The good parts, the parts that I wanted to come close to Hashem. But yes, it could come out to be anything. Hashem has His plan. Look what happened now with Iran, right? It was great. It was going great. Israel destroyed the place. Then the Americans came in and bombed the H out of them, right? Okay. But then it stopped all of a sudden, right? It's like Yehoshua was battling Amalek, right? He didn't kill them all together. It says he weakened them, Vayachlosh Yehoshua. So Rashi says over there, it was Al Pi Adibur. Hashem wanted it that way, that they shouldn't destroy Amalek at that time, right? And it's the same thing, Iran, Hashem. I was looking forward, Mashiach is here, Mamash. Right, I'm here. Hashem stopped it. Right, He wanted it His way. That's the way Hashem does things. But we have to learn that everything you have to bring Hashem into the equation. Right? Anyway, Baruch Hashem, we got to start.
Beautiful.
And yeah, the main thing is to bring Hashem into the equation. That's really what it's all about. Right? Okay?
Yes.
Whatever you do, Hashem, what do you really want from me? What's your emes? I want to go with the emes. But one guy tells me this, one guy tells me that. They both sound right. Which one do you suggest, Hashem? That's exploitative. Right? You're asking Hashem to guide you on the right path. All right?
Thank you.